ओम नमो भगवते
ये बंद
वासुदेवाय।
नहीं हो रहा है रिवर।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ए 331-38 बलं में पश्य मायायाः श्रीमय्या दयिनो दिशां या करोति पदाक्रान्तान् भ्रूविजृम्भेण केवलम्. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquer the world under her grip. So we read this. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu yogasya param paramarurukshoho matsevaya pratilabdhatmalabho vadanti ya niraya dvaramasya. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. The culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person who is always thinking of Krishna in devotion is the topmost of all yogis. And in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of God, he can at that time understand the signs of God. Here the word pratilabdhatma labha occurs. Atma means self. Labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their Atma or self. But those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self-realized soul who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women. In the modern age, however, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes. At the same time, he can become a yogi. In no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated here that the association of women is the gateway to hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in the Vedic civilization. Out of the four social divisions, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, three orders are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the grihasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with a woman, and that relationship is also restricted for begetting nice children. However, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly. Anyway, I mean, it's the same topic that we've been discussing for two classes. And of course, in one of the future verses, the verse also says that this is not just women who are women here or men last life, etc. So it's basically attachment to the opposite sex. That's the whole point here. Um, so yeah, one has to be restricted. Uh, Relationship must be restricted. Actually, previously it is said that in Vedic times, even very limited association between husband and wife as well. Um, so yeah, generally there are roles to be played, and the whole system of marriage is to enable people who want the association of the opposite sex to come together in a very uh, mm, or conditioned way, in a restricted manner, so that they can satisfy their needs, but at the same time not get stuck there. The whole idea of grihastha ashram is for those brahmacharis who cannot um, abstain from sex life, so they are allowed to marry, and the attraction to sex life has to decrease as one progresses in grihastha ashram. And how much time has been given? 25 years. In 25 years, this attraction to sex and opposite gender has to reduce. And by the end of Grihastha, we should be free to move into Vanaprastha. Of course, I mean it's not like till the end of Grihastha this has to be done. Once the intention to have children is gone, then engagement in sex life has to stop. And then the rest of the years are used up to fulfill our responsibilities with respect to our children, and then we move out of Grihastha ashram into Vanaprastha. So unrestricted association is like animalistic. So even in Varnashrama, it's very restricted, very restricted. So which is why we can see that the modern society is pretty much animalistic. And associating with such people, because most people are like that, is very detrimental to our bhakti. Yopayati shanirmaya yoshiddeva vinirmita tam ikshetat mano mrityum trunai kupam ivavratam. The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that that is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. Sometimes it happens that a rejected well is covered by grass, and an unwary traveler who does not know of the existence of the well falls down, and his death is assured. Similarly, association with a woman begins when one accepts service from her, because woman is especially created by the Lord to give service to man. By accepting her service, a man is entrapped. If he is not intelligent enough to know that she is the gateway to hellish life, he may indulge in her association very liberally. This is restricted for those who aspire to ascend to the transcendental platform. Even 50 years ago in Hindu society such association was restricted. See, a wife could not see her husband during the daytime. Householders even had different residential quarters. The internal quarters of a residential house were for the woman, and the external quarters were for the man. Acceptance of service rendered by a woman may appear very pleasing, but one should be very cautious in accepting such service, because it is clearly said that the woman is the gateway to death or forgetfulness of one's self. She blocks the path of self realization. This is the role of women, right? It's not referring to any particular woman, but it's the role that the Lord has created. The Lord has created these roles, right? He's created Varnashrama, He's created Purusha, Stri, and there are roles given to each of them. And this is the role that is being described. Is to gateway to forgetfulness of ourself. It is basically the whole family institution itself is, um, though forgetfulness is for those who want forgetfulness, they're put into this. But the way of Vedic life was such that even though we are fallen, we've not been able to remain celibate. And the Vedic system gives us a way by which we can still make progress, and through the transition through the different ashramas. So yeah, yam manyate patim mohan manmayam vrishabhayatim tritvam stri sangata prapto vittapatya grihapradam. A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets. So there are two things. Women look at men as bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets. Men look at women for sexual enjoyment, and this is what this whole material world is about. And here it's nicely said that one who is a woman in this life was a man in the previous life. So we just like we get attracted to the opposite gender, then we take that body, then we get attracted to the opposite gender, again we take another one. That's all. This is what is going on. So it's just craziness. From this verse, it appears that a woman is also supposed to have been a man in his previous life, and due to his attachment to his wife, he now has the body of a woman. Bhagavad Gita confirms this. A man gets his next life's birth according to what he thinks of at the time of death. If someone is too attached to his wife, naturally he thinks of his wife at the time of death, and in the next life takes the body of a woman. Similarly, if a woman thinks of her husband at the time of death, naturally she gets the body of a man in the next life. In the Hindu scriptures, therefore, woman's chastity and devotion to man is greatly emphasized. A woman's attachment to her husband may elevate her to the body of a man in her next life, but a man's attachment to a woman will degrade him, and in his next life he will get the body of a woman. We should always remember, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, that both the gross and subtle material bodies are dresses. They're the shirt and coat of the living entity. To be either a man or a woman only involves one's bodily dress. The soul in nature is actually the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. Every living being, entity being classified as energy is supposed to be originally a woman for one who is enjoyed, Prakriti Purusha. In the body of a man, there is greater opportunity to get out of the material clutches. There is less opportunity in the body of a woman. So it's the body which is actually the disadvantage, not the soul. So body of a woman is disadvantageous because a built-in material attachment, and body of a man is advantageous because there is built-in vairagya. So this is the advantage of the body of a man or a woman. But when one somehow or the other becomes a devotee, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to get stuck up saying that, I'm this or that, but, just do our duty in whatever body we've got and make progress towards Krishna, and make sure that we don't get attracted to the other uh, gender, so that we know that, again, I'll get stuck. I'll again take that type of body, and so on and so forth. In this verse, it is indicated that the body of a man should not be misused through forming an attachment to woman and thus becoming too entangled in material enjoyment, which will result in getting the body of a woman in the next life. A woman is generally fond of household prosperity, ornaments, furniture, dresses. She is satisfied when the husband supplies all these things sufficiently. The relationship between man and woman is very complicated. Uh, we know this. But the substance is that one who aspires to ascend to the transcendental stage of spiritual realization should be very careful in accepting the association of woman. In the stage of Krishna consciousness, however, such restriction of association may be slackened. Because if a man's and woman's attachment is not to each other but to Krishna, then both of them are equally eligible to get out of the material entanglement and reach the abode of Krishna. But we have to note here that the attachment for each other should be slackened, because unless that attachment slackens, attachment to Krishna will not happen. And when attachment to Krishna happens, then automatically we get out of material entanglement. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, anyone who seriously takes to Krishna consciousness, whether in the lowest species of life, or a woman, or of the less intelligent classes such as the mercantile or laborer class, will go back home, back to Godhead, and reach the abode of Krishna. So we should understand that by nature, the body of the woman is disadvantageous because of this material attachment. But one who has come to the platform of bhakti is very fortunate. Yet they should overcome this material attachment, which is the nature of the body of our lady. To overcome, and it requires effort. It requires more effort than for a man who is naturally detached. So it is important that devotees in woman body should take serious note of this and make sure that they get out of this attachment. The actually is a very powerful opportunity for Matajis, because they can engage in the most powerful service for Krishna, which is Radharani service, which is cooking. So not only can they fix their own consciousness, they can fix the consciousness of everybody in the house. But yeah, should not be too attached to material things. Actually, we should slowly and gradually reduce this, like too much material attachment to material prosperity, ornaments, furniture. Yeah, because Matajis are responsible for keeping the house neat and clean, and yeah, so furniture, dresses, and then whatever, right? How upkeep of the house, curtains, this, that. Just do it as much as required. No neglecting the responsibility, but not overdoing it as well. Mm. I've seen still, people are very, very much attached to wearing nice clothes, matching jewelry, matching watch, matching bangles, matching this, matching that. You have to match Krishna, align with what he wants. Otherwise, we'll get stuck here. If Krishna has given us all that, yeah, we can just use it. But we can see how much we have progressed in spiritual life by seeing how much time we are in front of the mirror. Very simple thing. Right? So it's very important that everybody, men are uh, counting their money, women are busy with, their looks and household paraphernalia, etc. So each of us have our own bondage attachment. So we should all, in our own positions, try to get over this. So a man should not be attached to a woman, nor should a woman be attached to a man. Both man and woman should be attached to the service of the Lord. So clear, so clear. Then there is possibility of liberation. So it's a very simple. See, we shouldn't forget these kind of very simple statements Prabhupada is saying. What is the guidance in our life? Not become attached to spouse. Both husband and wife should get attached to service of the Lord. That's all. Simple. There is no complication here. Very, very simple instruction. You want to make it complicated because we are attached. Now, in the simple three lines, then we want to introduce some if, but, this, that, and all that because we want to suit our needs. But that's just force fit. Prabhupada is very clearly saying that focus on attachment to service of the Lord. That's all. And how do we deal with other devotees? Just like we deal with how do we deal with husband and wife? Just like how we deal with other devotees. We can show care, we can show affection, etc. But not because they are our husband or wife. Yeah, because in one sense, because we are serving each other, right? Husband is serving the wife, wife is serving the husband. So yeah, so there has to be like there'll be more understanding, but center the center of the activities must be Krishna. Um, yeah. So yeah, sometimes in a family, the lady is more advanced. In some families, men are more advanced, etc. Either way, is the responsibility of the one who is advanced to pull the other person in that direction. That's all. Right in a nice way, just like we would help any devotee. Just like in our preaching effort, we might be helping someone to make progress, and we will be understanding. We will be supportive. We will be guiding. Same principles apply at home as well. Not material attachment. This is very, very core. Otherwise, again, we're going to come back. Again, we're going to come back. Tamatmano vijaniyat patyapatyagrahatmakam daivopasaditam mrityum mrigayor gayanam yatha. A woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be arrangement of external energy, Maya again, for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. Just like we said, woman is the death for the husband, house, children, etc., death for wife. Same thing. In these instructions of Lord Kapiladev, it is explained that not only is the woman the gateway of hell for man, but the man is also gateway of to hell for woman. It's a question of attachment. Man becomes attached to a woman because of her service, her beauty, and many other assets. And similarly, a woman becomes attached to a man for his giving her a nice place to live, ornaments, dress, and children. A question of attachment for one another. As long as either is attached to the other for such material enjoyment, woman is dangerous for the man, and man is also dangerous for the woman. But if the attachment is transferred to Krishna, both of them become Krishna conscious, and then marriage is very nice. Rupa Goswami therefore recommends anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandha yuktam vairagyam uchate. Man and woman should live together as householders in relationship with Krishna, only for the purpose of discharging duties in the service of Krishna. Engage the children, engage the wife, engage the husband, all in Krishna conscious duties. And then all these bodily or material attachments will disappear. Since the medium is Krishna, the consciousness is pure and there's no possibility of degradation at any time. See, simple instruction. Two simple instructions in two purports for Grihasthas. Dehena jiva bhutena lokalokam anubrajan punjana eva karmani karotyaviratam puman. Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result incessantly. When the living entity is engaged in the material body, is called Jiva Bhuta, and when he is free from the material body, is called Brahma Bhuta. By changing his material body birth after birth, he travels not only in the different species of life, but also from one planet to another. Chaitanya says that the living entities bound up by fruitive activities are wandering in this way throughout the whole universe. And if by some chance or by pious activities they get in touch with the bona fide spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, then they get the seed of devotional service. After getting the seed, if one sows it within his heart and pours water, see, this is the important part. Getting the seed is one part. It could be by chance, it could be by pious activities, one gets the seed. But after getting this seed, what we do is very important. If one sows it within his heart and pours water on it by hearing and chanting, then the seed grows into a big plant and there are fruits and flowers which the living entity can enjoy even in the material world. So this pouring the water is important. That is called the Brahma Bhuta. So once we get the seed of bhakti, then when we pour water by hearing and chanting, then automatically we will come to Brahma Bhuta stage, which is free from attachment of aham and mama. We have to come. We have to come. It's an intermediate stage for us. And it is a stage when one actually enters pure devotional service. In its designated condition, living entity is called materialistic. By the way, we have to also understand one more thing. Saying this Brahmabhuta is also characterized by Nishta, meaning complete dedication to activities of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. No more material responsibilities. Brahmabhuta means done. Material responsibilities are over. Because this matches with Nishta in our stages of bhakti. And Nishta means continuous, constant devotional service without deviation. In his designated condition, living entity is called materialistic, and upon being freed from all designations, when he is fully Krishna conscious, engaged in devotion service, he is called liberated. See, this is liberated, meaning Nishta, fully engaged in devotional service, fully Krishna conscious. Unless one gets the opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of the Lord. Important point here is associate. There's no possibility of one's liberation from the cycle of birth and death in the different species of life and through the different grades of planets. So just not getting a bona fide spiritual master is not important. Association, which is basically pouring water by Shravanam and Kirtanam. Then one should come to Brahmabhuta. Then one should then move from Nishtha to Ruchi to Asakti, Bhava, Prema. That's the path. It's very simple. And philosophy is very simple. Application is where we get stuck. That also because we just not accepting. We're not accepting whatever the path that is being outlined. We are just complicating it by wanting to do this, do that, our own deviations. But otherwise, it's a very simple process. Jivo hyas asya jivo hi asyanugo deho bhutendriya manomaya tannirodosya maranam avirbhavastu sambhavaha. In this way, the living entity gets a suitable body with a material mind and senses according to his fruitive activities. The reaction of his particular activity comes to an end. That end is called death. And when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called birth. From time immemorial, the living entity travels in the different species of life and different planets almost perpetually. This process is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Brahman Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudani Maya. Under the spell of Maya, everyone is wandering throughout the universe on the carriage of the body offered by the material energy. Materialistic life involves a series of actions and reactions. It is a long film spool of actions and reactions, and one lifespan is just a flash in such a reactionary show. When a child is born, it is to be understood that his particular type of body is the beginning of another set of activities. And when an old man dies, it is understood that one set of reactionary activities is finished. We can see that because of different reactionary activities, one man is born in a rich family, another is born in a poor family. Although both of them are born in the same place at the same moment and in the same atmosphere. One who is carrying pious activity with him is given a chance to take his birth in a rich or pious family, and one who is carrying impious activity is given a chance to take birth in a low or poor family. The change of body means a change to a different field of activities. Similarly, when the body of the boy changes into that of youth, the boyish activities change into youthful activities. It is clear that a particular body is given to the living entity for a particular type of activity. This process is going on perpetually from a time which is impossible to trace out. Vaishnava poets therefore say Anadi Karma Phale. which means that these actions and reactions of one's activity cannot be traced, for they may even continue from the last millennium of Brahma's birth to the next millennium. We've just seen the example in the life of Narada Muni. In one millennium, he was the son of a maid servant, and in the next millennium, he became a great sage. द्रव्योपलब्धिस्थानस्य द्रव्येक्षायोग्यता यदा तत्पञ्चत्वम् अहं मानाद् उत्पत्तिर्द्रव्यदर्शनम् यथाक्ष्णोर्द्रव्यया द्रव्यवयवा दर्शनायोग्यता यदा तदैव चक्षुषो दृष्टुर्दृष्टृ दृष्टृत्वायोग्यतानयोः. When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. Living entity who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight, loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of object occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth. When one says, I see, this means that he sees with his eyes or with his spectacles. He sees with the instrument of sight. If the instrument of sight is broken or becomes diseased or incapable of acting, then he as the seer also ceases to act. Similarly, in the material body, at the present moment, the living soul is acting, and when the material body, due to its incapability to function, ceases, he also ceases to perform his reactionary activities. When one's instrument of action is broken and cannot function, that is called death. Again, when one gets a new instrument for action, that is called birth. This process of birth and death is going on at every moment by constant bodily change. The final change is called death, and acceptance of a new body is called birth. That is a solution to the question of birth and death. Actually, living entity is neither birth nor death, but is eternal, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, na hanyate anyamane sharire. The living entity never dies even after the death or annihilation of this material body. So simply we're just rotating from one body to another, from one set of reactionary activities to another set of reactionary activities. Now is the chance for us to break out. If we take this path of bhakti seriously, then we can break out. But if we take it as just one more, one more of our engagements, then yeah, then we might have to come back again. Okay, just two more verses. I'll finish. Tasma na karya santraso na karpanyam na sambhramaha buddhva jivagatim dhiro mukta sangascharediha. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give away to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. See, one should not view death with horror, should not think body is a soul, and also should not give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. See, please note this. This is the key to progress. Free from attachment, material attachment, steadfast, fully determined in purpose. So we should have a purpose in life, and we should be steadfast in that purpose. Not like, we just keep oscillating. Yeah, I have something to do, but maybe it's not very important. I do this also, I do that also. I do activities for bondage, and I also do activities for liberation. That's craziness. A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing of the horrible, hellish condition of life in the womb of the mother or outside of the mother. But one has to make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this material body. Without being unnecessarily upset, he should try to find out if there is a remedy. So it requires a very calm state of mind for us to be able to think about this. If you're agitated, mode of passion, ignorance, then it's very difficult. The remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. Must be understood who is actually liberated. Liberated person is described in Bhagavad Gita. One who engages in uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord, having surpassed the stringent laws of material nature, is understood to be situated in Brahman. Simple. Uninterrupted devotional service. The Supreme Person of Godhead is beyond the material creation. It is admitted even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya that Narayana is para, transcendental to material creation. As such, when one actually engages in the service of the Lord in various forms, he is understood to be on the platform of liberation. So, actual liberation is when one engages in service. When one comes to the stage of liberation, he should start engaging in service. And that is for the Gnani. For devotees, they already engage in service and they should reach liberation and then move forward to achieve Krishna Prema. The Bhagavatam also confirms that liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position, which is as a servant. Since the living entity is eternally the servitor of the Supreme Lord, when one seriously see again these two words that I keep repeating, it's like my breathing. When one seriously and sincerely engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, is situated in the position of liberation. Not otherwise. If one is casually engaged in the transcendental, then it won't be loving service at all. Casually engaged means it will be engaged in service, but that's on the material platform, Mishra Bhakti. Then he is not situated in position of liberation. We should not get confused. One should try to associate with a liberated person and then the problems of life can be solved. While discharging devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, one should not be miserly. One should not be miserly. Whatever Krishna has given, use it wholeheartedly in Krishna service. This is another indication that we are liberated. When we are discharging devotional service, we don't hold back time, money, effort, everything. Give it 100%. He should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this world. Actually, renunciation is not possible. If one renounces his palatial building and goes to the forest, there is actually no renunciation. For the palatial building is the property of the Supreme Person. You got it, and the forest is also property of the Supreme Lord. If he changes from one property to another, that does not mean that he renounces. He was never the proprietor of either the palace or the forest. Renunciation necessitates renouncing the false understanding that one can lord it over material nature. That has to be renounced. When one renounces this false attitude and renounces the puffed up position that he is also God, that is real renunciation. What is this puffed up position that he is also God? Trying to lord it over material nature, trying to enjoy sense gratification. That is thinking that we are God. Otherwise, there's no meaning of renunciation. Rupa Goswami advises that if one renounces everything, anything, which could be applied in the service of the Lord and does not use it for that purpose, that is Falgu Vairagya. False renunciation, insufficient renunciation. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everything can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is real renunciation. Nor should one unnecessarily increase the necessities of the body. Unnecessarily. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. So this again is a critical sutra. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied without much personal endeavor, meaning only as much as required. And what is the guidance? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said 8 hours only for work. We should spend our time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to the problem of life and death. Samyak darshanaya buddhya yoga vairagya yuktaya maya virachite loke charenyasya kalevaram. Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service. See, very nice. Strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity. Oh, people say, oh, why you're so pessimistic? No, we are realistic. We are neither pessimistic nor optimistic. We are realistic. And realistic means pessimistic. Because what is this material identity? It's just bondage. So we are pessimistic. We don't like it. One should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world. It is sometimes misunderstood that if one has to associate with persons engaged in devotional service, he will not be able to solve the economic problem. To answer this argument, it is described here that one has to associate with liberated persons not directly, physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life. It is stated here, Samyak Darshanaya Buddhya, one has to see perfectly. And by intelligence and yogic practice, one has to renounce this world. That renunciation can be achieved by the process recommended in the second chapter of the first canto Bhagavatam. The devotee's intelligence is always in touch with the Supreme Lord. His attitude towards the material existence is one of detachment, for he knows perfectly well that this material world is a creation of illusory energy. Realizing himself to be part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, the devotee discharges his devotional service and is completely aloof from material action and reaction. Thus, at the end, he gives up his material body and as a pure soul enters the kingdom of God. So one has to be completely aloof from material action and reaction, meaning one should not engage in material action. And when there is material reaction, which is karma phala, then also one should be aloof. One should not be too affected by that material reaction. So we have to reach this stage. Comment substance of the last few verses. Prabhupada is very nicely summarized. Now, which is why these chapters, this section of Bhagavatam is very, very important. We should read it again and again. Actually, if we read it, then we can come to Brahma Bhuta. If you take these verses purport seriously, we can come to Brahma Bhuta and stop this movement. We've been moving up and down, up and down, up and down. Stop this movement within this material world. Go back to Krishna. Okay, so I'll stop here. If there are any questions, we can discuss. Anything, anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
This chapter really hits you hard and tells you there's no equalism between a man and a woman. And like in one class, one Maharaj was speaking about it, and many of the teenage girls got a little bit offended. Then like one of our close devotees' friends' daughter was also there. You know, but then Prabhu, like when you actually live your life, it really reflects onto what is written here. It, like you understand and you go through it also.
Yeah, Bhagavatam is telling us who we are, what we are doing.
Yes, Prabhu.
No psychology is required. This is the real psychology.
Yes, Prabhu. Like whatever we may say, women are, there's no difference between a boy and a girl, man and a woman. Like unless you're in Krishna conscious, there is a remarkable line of difference.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
I think so. We have one more chapter left, which is the last chapter in this series. So we'll start with that from Monday, and then we will decide what is the next topic we will discuss. But yeah, I think pretty much the next chapter is also on these fruitive activities, attachment, etc. So hopefully it'll, they say, nail that, last nail in the coffin of material engagement for all of us. Hopefully, yeah. So anyway, we'll go through that end. Anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Add to Mataji's words, even I used to get offended when I was listening at the beginning stages. Why women are treated in such a low thing? Like I used to feel that. But I used to work before, and after I quit work and followed whatever Prabhupada said, just take care of the house, take care of the family. My life is at peace, Prabhu.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, very nice. Prabhupada's words are very, very powerful. You have to simply follow.
Yes,
nice.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah, husband and wife. Yes. Go for it.
Prabhu,
I'm happy that both of you are in the same line. No? That's a good
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, tell.
So just one realization, like you mentioned, I think everything is already there in Bhagavad Gita itself. So what was coming to my mind is we as humans, we seek different roadmaps for different things. Say maybe if I want to be healthy, I'll pick a yoga or a gym, right? If I want to actually be self-motivated, maybe read self-help books, right? So different things people are actually doing, but I guess this is a one-stop shop. What I see here, everything is just kept in one place, but we don't know, or at least I don't know. I didn't know that it is at this level as such. That was one realization. And I was also thinking, Prabhu, should we think aloud of like how in book distribution group, Ram Prabhu keeps doing so many Bhagavatam sets. Should we have
It's
Raju
not
Prabhu,
Ram Prabhu, by the way, Shivanand
Raju
Prabhu.
Prabhu, Shivanand Prabhu.
Shivanand Prabhu
Okay.
is doing the Bhagavatam.
Shivanand Prabhu. So should we just have different methodologies of actually telling about what we have in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam to people, Prabhu, saying that it can just be one manual where you have solutions for everything.
Yeah.
I was just thinking aloud on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's preaching, right? Basically, if we know what people want and we know what is there in Bhagavatam, then we can say, okay, your need is fulfilled. You go, this section of Bhagavatam answers your questions. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Prabhupada said that actually everything is there. Somebody is interested in science, we'll take them to 5th canto, cosmology.
Exactly, cosmology.
Right. So like that, there are various things.
Right. I think this chapter is like fascinating for me because lot of time I have spent in reading different things, but I'm so late to this is what I'm thinking.
No, you are so early, Prabhu. I hadn't even started bhakti at your age, I guess, or just started maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll close. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripasindhubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah, Ananta Koti Vaishnavabhyo ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.